Alright guys, here it goes. First off, before we get started on letter 1, in our case, part 1, because this will probably be like a 3-part letter, maybe 2-part, probably 3-part. Just rehashing, first off, thanks so much for the positive feedback that you all gave through different mediums, Facebook, Twitter, here on YouTube a little bit. Thank you guys. I appreciate the support, and hopefully now that we're getting into the meat, the actual content here, we'll generate some conversations, and we'll get people actually thinking about what's in these letters. Admin note, I know a lot of people have said, what is with the video quality, man? It looks crappy. You look like you're locked in a cellar or something. First off, it's my garage, okay? Take it easy. It's sensitive. I know it's not much, but it's where I can get some peace and quiet to do this. Second, I know the video quality sucks. It's a little garbage 2-in-1 that's just, I mean, it's trying its best to be something. I'm not sure what exactly it's trying to be. It's trying its best. Maybe one day I'll get something that I'll actually, take better video and audio quality, and I can actually focus it and stuff like this. And then moving on, some of my favorite comments about all of this. I know the shirt that you are wearing is red, but it looks orange, and your head is so shiny that you look like an inmate. Now I look like Trayvon Martin, so no. Look, I'm sorry, I'm not powdering my head for anybody. And yes, you know what, it's a military haircut. I like it. I think it's sexy. The sheen is a nice touch for the reality of who I am. I have a very glowing personality. It just happens to glow out of my head. Okay, that's just how it's going to be. So there's that. And then also, actually, same person made a comment about your voice is so level and consistent that you play this part very well, that you're so good for these videos. Something to that extent is what was said. I think that's the most polite way I've ever been told that I'm monotone in my life. That is phenomenal. Thank you so much for that. Anyways, moving on. Like I said, this first letter, the introduction letter written by Hamilton, is probably going to be a 2-part or 3-part video. There is some really, really awkward wording at the end of the first paragraph that I am going to stutter and trip up on. Bear with me. It's not written the way we speak today, and it's a little bit of a stumbling block for me, especially with the way my mind processes or doesn't process. The Federalist 1, Part 1 for our video series by Hamilton. After an unequivocal experience of the inefficiency of the subsisting federal government, you are called upon to deliberate on a new constitution for the United States of America. The subject speaks its own importance, comprehending in its consequences nothing less than the existence of the Union, the safety and welfare of the parts of the Union. We'll get back to that. The safety and welfare of the parts which it is composed, the fate of an empire, in many respects the most interesting in the world, the most interesting empire in the world. Well, thank you. Yes, we are. America. Everyone's like, American Empire, that's so horrible, it's a terrible... Yeah, we're an empire and we're an awesome one, so freaking deal with it. Well, we were an awesome one anyways. We're working on fixing that, by the way. Let's see here. It has been frequently remarked that it seems to have been reserved to the people of this country, by their conduct and example, to decide the important question, whether societies of men are really capable or not of establishing good government from reflection and choice, or whether they are forever destined to depend for their political constitutions on accident and force. Literally, the concept he's saying right there is, can we sit down and can we figure this out, and can we make a workable government that consists of smaller pieces unified by a general guideline of federal government? Can we get the smaller states' governments to work with a unified federal government without completely butchering it, or are we going to have the same type of discontinuity? And I realize that you know what I meant when I said that word. Don't even start. Or are we going to have things like North and South Carolina are pissed off at each other? There we go. Oh, yep, okay. Now it's just Carolina. Awesome. Okay, South Carolina won that one. Woohoo! Sorry, North Carolina fans. It just happened that way. Here's where the wording gets tricky. If there be any truth in the remark, the crisis at which we are arrived may with propriety be regarded as the era in which that decision is to be made. And a wrong election of the part we shall act may, in this view, deserve to be considered as the general misfortune of mankind. Now, I know that sounds really weird. If you take it line by line, again, this is kind of why you need to follow with me, because right now you just kind of have to take it at my word. Literally what he is saying is it's down to us. This decision has been pushed on us. It is our time to shine. We got to figure this out. And if we don't, if we screw this up, if we elect the wrong path, it is going to be considered as the general misfortune of mankind. The world will be worse off if we can't get the governments of the states and a unified federal government to work together without violating the rights of the people. So, that's the general preface. That's the opening paragraph to this whole thing. This idea will add the inducements of philanthropy to those of patriotism to heighten the solicitude which all considerate and good men must feel for the event. Happy will it be if our choice should be directed by a judicious estimate of our true interests, unperplexed and unbiased by considerations not connected with the public good. But this is a thing more ardently to be wished than seriously to be expected. The plan offered to our deliberations affects too many particular interests, innovates upon too many local institutions, not to involve in its discussion a variety of objects foreign to its merits, and of views, passions, and prejudices little favorable to the discovery of truth. What? Word vomit. Synopsis of that whole paragraph, and if you go through line by line and think about what I'm about to say, you'll realize it makes sense. What he is saying is literally, it would be great if we can do this utopian, this is for the greater good and everyone benefits and this makes everyone happy and blah blah blah. The reality is, what is best for the farmers is not best for the shippers. What is best for the butcher is not best for the marketmen. What is best is only best for your worldview or for my worldview, not for our worldview. You cannot go at this problem that was addressed in paragraph 1 with the mindset that is addressed in paragraph 2. There is no common good. You cannot sit here and say this is for the betterment. Everyone has their own interests at heart. Everyone will be skewed and biased towards what is best for them. So again, you're looking at the problem you're looking at the situation of this is the problem. How do we address it? How do we fix it? What do we do? Well, we can't go at it by this attitude, because it's just not realistic. It's just not going to happen. There's going to be too many things that prohibit the discovery of truth, prohibit us being able to proceed properly in a way that will work realistically. Among the most paragraph 3. Tell me that what was written back here in the 1780s does not apply today when you read paragraph 3 and think about the political parties of today. Check this out. Among the most formidable of the obstacles which the new Constitution will have to encounter may readily be distinguished the obvious interest of a certain class of men in every state to resist all changes which may hazard a diminution of the power, emolument, and consequence of the offices they hold under the state establishments. Semicolon. That's the whole sentence is one thought, but that's one half of the first thought. That's one half of the thought of this sentence. And I know I butchered those words. What it's really saying, definitions time. Let's back up, go back to the last, obviously on my book, but it's going to be different, but distinguish the obvious interest of a certain class of men in every state to resist all changes which may hazard the reduction or weakening of their power, their pay, and the consequence, the importance of the offices they hold under the state establishments. So he's saying, side one of this coin, problem one of the two major problems we're going to face, is the people who hold state office who are saying, I am the elected representative of the people. The people's voice is being broadcast through me. I am their mouthpiece so that this assembly knows what the people who elected me need. Of the people, by the people, for the people. That's our statesman. And they're in the position now where they're sitting there going, I don't like this because you're trying to take away the importance or the pay, which, yes, guess what? Pay. Money. Finance. Gain. Whatever you want to call it. You're trying to diminish that. You're trying to reduce this. You're trying to reduce the not in a bad way, not in a dirty way, but the power that I have right now. I am in a very powerful position. I get to communicate what the people who elected me want. And you're diminishing that. You want to take that away through a federal government. So that's one group of people who are very, very opposed to this, who are very, very divided on this. Not opposed, but divided on this. Picking up at the semicolon, and the perverted ambition of another class of men who will either hope to aggrandize themselves by the confusions of their country, or will flatter themselves with fairer prospects of elevation from the subdivision of the empire into several partial confederacies than from its union under one government. Literally, someone who's sitting here going, I am now in the federal government. How can I better this? How can I keep people confused and in a state of chaos where they feel that they must be dependent on my new authority? They must be dependent on my new authority in order to give themselves a position where they can say, I can make it better. I can give you fairer prospects. I can make it all better. We just have to do this, that, or the other. In this particular case, he's talking about the division of the Union, breaking it into smaller groups of states, and saying, well, these states over here don't like these states over here anyways, so let's go ahead and split. Let's not be a union. We're going to do it our way, and our state's rights will be respected. You can go do it your way, and your state's rights will be respected, rather than bringing a unified federal government, a union. Now, he said all this. He stated the problem. He stated the two biggest groups in this problem, in this situation. Here's where it starts getting cool, and this is, and obviously, like I said, when you look at paragraph 3 versus today, where are we? We're in the exact same boat. So if this book, if the things they wrote in this document apply word for word what is going on in today's society, you already are stomping the crap out of the liberal argument that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights do not apply to today's society. BS, they were facing the same things back then that we're facing today. They had the same problems, and they had the same attitudes towards those problems. The exact same things then that they have today. These men were talking about the problems that we face in our society today because they were the same problems that they faced in their society in the 1780s. Keep in mind, now this is where it gets cool, and this is where I'm going to finish off for today's video. It is not, however, my design to dwell upon the observations of this nature. I am well aware that it would be disingenuous to resolve indiscriminately the opposition of any set of men, open parentheses, merely because their situations might subject them to suspicion, close parentheses, into interested or ambitious views. Candor will oblige us to admit that even such men may be actuated by upright intentions. It cannot be doubted that much of the opposition which has made its appearance, or may hereafter make its appearance, will spring from sources blameless, at least if not respectable, the honest errors of minds led astray by preconceived jealousies and fears. So numerous indeed, and so powerful, are the causes which serve to give a false bias to the judgment, that we, upon many occasions, see wise and good men on the wrong side as well as on the right side of questions of the first magnitude of society. This circumstance, if duly attended to, would furnish a lesson of moderation to those who are ever so thoroughly persuaded of their being in the right of any controversy. Now, that is in the middle of a paragraph, and I'm going to stop there for today and recap what we just said. I'm going to make a little note here, stopped right there. What is he saying? Yes, these two groups of people are the biggest contenders in this, but guess what? Surprise, we're not going to focus on that. We're not going to look at that. The reality of the situation here is we have to understand that they all have their backgrounds, they all have their situations, they all have the things that happened in this life that made them who they are. They have their perspectives, they have their preconceived notions, they have these things, and the reality is they may well be good men. And we may well be good men, but we're not going to agree because of these things. What we have to do is we have to put aside these two specific classes of all for the state, all for the federal, and we have to look at this as men, as individuals, as people, not just men, as people, who now have to look at this and say, how do we make this work? In our case, how do we make this work again? Because it doesn't work anymore. The federal government is out of control due to the executive branch, largely because of the actions of the executive branch and the inactions of the legislative and judicial branch. So it's the same thing. We're at the same point that these men were at when they were writing this. We're at the same point as a society that our country was at when this was being written. So we have these things going on. And it's just... it's impossible to communicate how serious and how difficult the situation at hand is. And it's something that we must take into effect for moderation. And I hate the word moderate because it has so many connotations today. But we have to go at this with some level of moderation. We have to go at this with a mindset of, okay, that's your opinion, I get that. Rather than I'm going to come out and tell you you're wrong, I'm going to say, this is my opinion. How do we make these two opinions work together for the betterment of the Union, which includes all the states? So that's where we're going to stop today. Like I said, this first letter, tons of content. We are somewhere between a third. Actually, we're almost exactly halfway. No, we're not. We're about a third of the way through it. There's not quite as many breakdowns in the next half of it, so it might be one more video, it might be two. I don't know. We'll see. Depends on how much I like hearing my head rattle. Thank you guys for joining me today. That is it. Get back to your lives. I know y'all are busy. Like, subscribe, share on Facebook, on Twitter, on wherever you want to share it, whatever your medium of expertise is. Get it out there. Again, we are setting up the foundation for what is needed in this country today through the words written back in the 1780s, 1790s-ish. So, thank you guys very much. Have a good one. Like the main page, www.facebook.com/CAMVABO, Cambabo, Conservative American Military Veterans Against Barack Obama. Have a good one. Take some time to yourselves. Enjoy your evening, day, whenever you're watching this.